One thing I keep saying, stop giving your 20s to a man. Your 20s should be the time where you are focusing on your education, getting your career set, getting some experience, figuring out what you want in life that is separate from your parents' belief because you are a completely different person. And these older ladies right here, this is one of the ladies. There's this man going around asking them, what would you do different in your 20s? And they said, not get married. Older women are saying this. I'm an older woman now. Don't get married in your 20s. Use your 20s for yourself. I'm going to play this video and then I'm going to share some of the comments that were on the post.
If you were 20 years old today, what would you do?
Maybe I wouldn't get married and have children. I wouldn't put children in this world. Sorry.
No.
No, not the way it's going at the moment.
If you guys are 20 today, what would you do?
Would never get married. Too young, far too young.
Yeah.
I was married when I was 20, so no.
Married when you were 20?
Yeah.
Do you think it's a good thing that people are getting married later now?
Yes.
Oh yes. Yeah. Get a little bit of life. I feel you never really had much of life. Where now young people, there's more. They've got more for them.
There's more opportunity, there's more things to do.
Yes.
I think I just got married too young. I think I could have done more if I hadn't got married so young.
Yeah, probably got married too young.
It's interesting because that seems to be the way things are going now, is that people are marrying a lot later than what.
Oh, well, exactly. That's good. That's
Do
good.
you think that's a good thing?
I do. I think that's a good idea. I think to get, for women in especially, is to get your career in place, get your independence, your finances in place before anything else.
I would stay single, have boyfriends or partners, but I wouldn't move together or anything. Just have your own place. Do what you want.
Now let's look at some of these comments. International Eye says, I didn't listen to my grandmother, got married, hated being married, and have been single ever since my divorce 14 years later. Freedom suited me much better. Should have listened to her when she said, don't get married. I did secure a career though. And then you have a man that has to come in. He says, not a single word about children. Is your existence warranted enough or not? And that's the thing. Some of these men simply believe that your existence is predicated on having babies. You are an incubator, and if you are not doing your job as an incubator, your life is worthless. That's what these men will continue to say. And so this is where I was tagged in. 1430019 says, wait a minute. Do you think having children is the only way to justify your existence? Yikes. Then he says, are you an Einstein? Doubtful. So your best bet is children, period. The reason why we have to hear what they say is that you know and understand that your importance is and your value is simply predicated on you having children. Other than that, you are not valuable at all. If you are not being an incubator and being in service to a man, you are not valuable. It's important to know that so that you can make sure that you don't pay attention to their words and don't give an F about their opinions. 1430019 says, I'm begging you to step away from the manosphere. They're going to make you more unhappy and lonely. Each person has inherent worth. No one needs to justify their existence. And needing a child to have some kind of legacy is BS. Children aren't a retirement plan or someone to carry on our name. They are living human beings who exist on their own with no debt to us. I have 3 children and fostered almost 50 in my 7 years as a foster parent, in addition to working with children and families for almost 30 years. And I 100% know that not everyone needs to have children, especially people who haven't gone through enough therapy to fix themselves. That comment, it just makes perfect sense. And we see it, we know it, we know that not everybody is made to be a parent. So I really want people, if you do want to have children, to be extra intentional. And if you don't, or you need to have them later, please do that. Be intentional about how you structure your life and talk to your children about being intentional about structuring their lives. This is one of the reasons why we've got to start having these open and honest conversations, why we have to build respect across ages and generations and everything, so that our daughters, so that our sons listen to us when we say these things. Knock Shift says, the physical and mental toll having a child has on a woman is insane, and combined with not really having the freedom to choose something other than the wife and kids route in life, It's not shocking that so many elderly women have regrets. If you truly want children, then by all means have them, but know that they are something you have to sacrifice for. Don't treat the decision like an obligation or it's just what you're supposed to do. Revenue So Vast says this is wholly underestimated, the toll and sacrifice of motherhood. And it is taxing on your body, it's taxing on your emotional stability, it's taxing on your finances. You really have got to think about these types of things. And one thing I will continue to say, family planning is financial planning because it will impact your career. You will come out of the workforce for a little while. Some people don't go back to the workforce because childcare is too expensive and they don't have support. So you really have got to think long and hard about all of the moving parts that not just go along. Anybody can get pregnant. Anybody can get pregnant, obviously. But how it impacts your life, you have got to think on down the line because oh my gosh, it's so expensive. Childcare, people getting sick, all of that. It's challenging out here. Absolute Dealer says, it's amazing humanity has survived this long with the toll and sacrifice. Grim Rockwell says, me and my siblings suffered as a result of our mother being expected to marry young. Personally, I'd rather her have had a better life and been able to choose if and when to have kids than for her and us kids to have lived through the struggles and hells we were forced into. The struggles and hells. This is someone that lived through a mother having to get married and have kids early. Garnelia says, meanwhile, incels are out here saying, you're going to regret not getting married young and having children when you're over 40. I'm over 40. I'm telling people, don't get married young. I got married. I was in my early 30s and had my first child at 33. It is perfectly fine to have kids into your 30s after you get established if you do want to have kids. Now, this is a funny name. Meaty Pierced P Word, oh my goodness, says, have kids like me? You will not regret it. And then the lady at the bottom says, damn it, Meaty Pierced P Word, you've convinced me. Do not take advice from someone named Meaty Pierced P Word. Just don't. Ruthless Kitty Cat says, I mean, women couldn't have credit cards or housing loans or anything like that without their husband. Even some places they needed their father or husband for a driver's license. They were legally children, basically. It makes perfect sense. That's the reason why feminists fought so hard for the rights that we have right now that many people take for granted, because we were not fully functional adults. We couldn't go out and just, sign for ourselves. We did not have autonomy like that. We did not have financial stability and independence like that. That's the reason why it's so important for us to know history so that people get a little bit more angry about the way our rights are being rolled back. Honeydew Mitten says, and even now with the trad wife trends, women are entering marriages with men who don't set up funds for them or provide any sort of long-term support when they are stay-at-home wife. So if the wife gets left, they have nothing to bounce back on and have to start all over again. That's the reason why I keep saying that women need to have a plan. B, C, D, E, F, G, L, M, N, O, P, all of the plans. Because when you come out of the workforce, it is a gamble. It is a risk. So you need to have some kind of foundation, your education, some kind of credentialing, some way to be able to pick yourself up and start over if you have to. This is the reason why I will continue to say that women need to have a sense of survival. Barnhair Don't Care says, trad wives are just living a sanitized domination fantasy. It's just wrapped in religion to make it seem non-sexual. Defiant Star Formation says, women were allowed to hold bank accounts and take out loans before 1974, but with the caveat that a man needed to be named on the account as well. That means if you're a woman who wanted a bank account, you need signed permission of your father or husband, and they'll have the legal right to control your money. That is clearly a barrier meant to keep women reliant on men and keep them from achieving independence. Even when this wasn't explicitly stated in the law, it was a business policy of banks in general. That's a large part of what the 1974 Act established, that businesses couldn't discriminate against women, including holding policies that made doing business as a woman overly restrictive in a way that it wasn't for men. Lots of discrimination isn't as overt and obvious as law number 123XYZ says no bank accounts for women. A good example is redlining. It's an established fact that redlining was a very real practice with the clear intention of limiting opportunities and increasing incarceration rates for people of color. This was never explicitly stated in any laws, but instead was a result of combined policies and norms within police departments, banks, mortgage companies, property managers, and government agencies. It would be easy to discredit this practice with a few cherry-picked instances, laws, ads, etc., but in the end, it wouldn't change the reality of redlining, just like it doesn't change the reality of financial discrimination and its role in keeping women from independence and upward mobility. And this is precisely the reason why people need to know and understand history, but our school system is woefully under teaching things, and people don't give a damn about knowing and understanding what people have gone through in this country. Let me know what you think. African Boheme started a conversation that we really need to have. She says, as an autistic child, what were some of the sayings that adults taught you that harmed you because you took them literally? And then Tacosaurus, right here, this comment right here, this will speak to many of us, autistic or neurotypical. She says the whole boys who are mean or teasing actually like or love you. I'm sure neurotypicals also fall for this, but it took me an embarrassing long time to realize I deserve to have better. We have got to stop equating harm, teasing, pranks, jokes to love and like. This is the reason why so many of these women accept these stupid pranks and jokes, which are just mean-spirited ways of these men to treat their girlfriends and wives. This right here, the whole boys who are mean and teasing actually like or love you, that sets up adult women to just accept it because it's wrapped up in a laugh track. And, we're going to have to rewrite that script. And that's the reason why I will keep hammering. This is why I will keep hammering this, because this is not funny. We should be with people that are not mean or teasing us. And mean and teasing does not equate to like or love. The one about the teasing boys, that's the one that I wanted to pull out. But this is the one that the African Boheme pinned. The Mark Webb says, watching my parents do something incorrectly that's going to backfire, try and correct them. And then they say, I've been doing this since before you were born. You don't know everything. Thing messes up or backfires. I try to reiterate that I was just trying to stop that from happening. Then they say, don't be a smartass. Next time, I don't say anything and it backfires. And then they say, why would you just stand there and not say anything? Begin to answer, and then it's don't talk back. And then he says, guess I'll just never speak then. Because this is the thing. Older people think that they are always right. That's just the way it is. They don't see value in their children, as if children don't have eyes, don't have opinions, can't see things, maybe can see things differently and have different ideas. And they don't want to be shown up by children. Kids are smart. And it's like as soon as older people learn that you can respect the values and opinions and different things from children, life will change. But some people were not ever really particularly ready for that. So then that happens, and then it does make you get a little confused, like, should I speak? Should I not speak? You can't really get things right with certain people, with certain family members. And that's what African Boheme says, just can't win. This next one is going to touch the spirit of many people, I just bet. Ray Gray Design says, just do your best wasn't supposed to mean push yourself to the limit to attain this. It was like, give it a serious but modest effort that's totally within your current capabilities. Do your best. Do your best doesn't mean hurting yourself or pushing yourself to exhaustion. Perfectionism does harm people, but if you take things literally, you may not know that. Emma, her response is, that's what people actually mean when they say do your best. And then Jenny says, well, it's what they should mean. Anne says, there's still a part of me that feels like a failure when I don't push myself just past my comfort zone every single day. Taking a moment's rest means I slacked off and was lazy. And then Ray says, I feel this. Also, feeling like if my best before this was better, then I should push to the point that I can do the same as my prior best. And then Queen Kalina says, this phrase specifically killed me. Karma's outspoken mom says, brought home a report card with 5 A's and an A-. Why isn't that one also an A? It took me 20 years to find out my dad was teasing. Jen Lee says, as an adult looking back, I'm really disappointed in my dad for this. I would bring home all A's, but maybe a C in math since I struggled with it. Every single time, no acknowledgement of the A's, just, why did you get a C? So harmful. Jules says, my mom also said this to me, but she was in fact completely serious, and now I'm a raging perfectionist. This one gave me a chuckle. Frosty Warcraft says, so I didn't really get harmed by this, but when I was about 11, I remember being very confused at a quiz at school because I put my hand up to answer a complete the expression question. One of them was people in glass houses, and I confidently answered on microphone in front of the whole school that the saying ended, shouldn't walk around naked. When I say it took like 20 minutes for the laughter to die down, I'm not exaggerating. Apparently, my dad had been saying it that way for my entire life, and the expression does not, in fact, go like that. Just for shits and giggles, answer the question and don't answer it correctly. Don't answer it correctly. People in glass houses, go ahead and finish that statement, but finish it incorrectly in the comments. This person says, ha ha ha, but to be fair, that wasn't an autistic thing. You just repeated what you were taught, especially if it was your dad you heard it from. It's not like you got it from TV or something. African Bohem is laughing. The Secret Life of a Dumbass, I love that name, says, that is absolutely true though. It is absolutely true. Don't walk around naked if you have a glass house. That makes sense to me. So I wanted to come back to this one from Tacosaurus saying the whole boys who are mean / teasing actually like or love you, because I wanted to get to this comment from Eloquent Cantosaurus Rex. It says, same. Talk about gaslighting an entire generation of neurodivergent people. Talk about gaslighting an entire generation of Exactly. It really does, because you're supposed to be lighthearted about it. If he kicks you, you're supposed to just take that as affection. And if you take things seriously, how would you know any different if so many people keep repeating it? Holt, the photographer, says, I was going to say this. It took years and years of an incredibly abusive relationship to a guy I was planning on marrying before I could even start to unlearn that. Luckily, I learned it, and when the next boyfriend put his hands on me, I left the same day, never saw or spoke to him again. I've only dated soft boys since then. Luca says, my dad used to talk about how when he was a kid, he would pull a girl's pigtails, and I was like, bruh. Bookish Sarah Jane Mason says, oof, yeah. Flower Princess Mel says, stop talking back, when I was just trying to clarify what happened because they had it wrong. So I stopped communicating with my parents really at all, which left me alone and vulnerable to predators. All right, hit the lights. I broke a light fixture. Jump in the shower. I kept getting hurt before my mom realized I was literally jumping into the tub. Toss blank in the oven, closet, room. More broken and ruined items. Okay, so please know and understand that some people do take things seriously. I do not like the stop talking back, because once again, it just goes to show that kids can't have opinions and speak their mind, have different beliefs without some parents getting upset about that. Lucid Flaw says, we are all children of God. We are all brothers and sisters. Cue me being afraid to have a crush as a child because I thought it was going to be incest no matter who I liked. Oof. And then African Bohem says, oh gosh, I think about this always too. I had to get to this one too. It's Sally BB says, rolling your eyes doesn't mean in a circle. It just means rolling them up. I would have stopped if I knew and saved a lot of arguing. And then African Boheme was like, I was just thinking of the trauma, if needing to break eye contact to be seen as normal and how much trouble I got in if I blinked during that transition. Grace says this, the explanation that rolling one's eyes doesn't mean rolling in a circle, but simply casting them away from a conversation partner can be seen as rude, would have been so much more helpful than just getting told off for rolling my eyes when I genuinely believed I wasn't doing anything. It doesn't make the social rule less backwards, but it helped make sense in my autistic brain. All right, so tell me, which one of these resonated with you? You could be autistic or not autistic, but some of these will have resonated because I know that you have heard some of these before, because I know I am not autistic and I knew and understood some of these, or you hear some of these and you embody it and then you get in trouble as well. Anyways, join the conversation. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Let's talk about this post in the Entitled People subreddit. So this woman says, mother-in-law came for a surprise holiday and demanded I get rid of my cat. And to that I say, the nerve, the audacity. She says, okay, I'm 38, a structural engineer, and I live with my husband and our cat. My mother-in-law showed up unannounced this weekend on Friday with her suitcase, calling it a holiday. What? She's always hated that I have a cat, but this scenario was unexpected. My mother-in-law can't stop visiting unexpectedly and uninvited. She compared my cat to termites, mold, even said, if you let an animal wreck your own home, how can anyone trust you to build safe structures? I've worked over decades to build my career, and she reduced all of that to an insult over my cat, a pet. Yesterday night, she gave me an ultimatum that it's either me or the cat. If you care about this family, you'll prove it by getting rid of it. Those were her exact words. I told her that the cat stays. This is my home. You don't get to walk in and decide who lives here. She screams that I always need control and locked herself in the guest room. This morning she left without saying a word. As I am reading this, I am like, who does this? How do you have the nerve to think that you get to come into someone's home and make demands like this? How do these people live? My husband is stuck in the middle. No, he's not. He needs to tell his mother off. My husband is stuck in the middle and I can't get past the grudge. It wasn't just her dislike of the cat, but it was her trying to tear down my work, my stability, my sense of family. She just shows up to someone else's house and thinks they can evict their pet. Yeah. Husband needed to call his mother to the carpet. Husband needed to say something to his own mother. She shouldn't be feeling like this. She shouldn't be feeling like this in her own home. And his mother needs to stop just showing up unexpectedly. He needs to have that conversation and create some boundaries, because obviously right now there are none. Say what? KB says, how's your husband stuck in the middle? He should be setting boundaries with his mom and standing up for his wife. And here's the OP saying, he says, I should have responded to her gently, more gently than I did. And to that I say, nay, you're going to have to go, lady, because this is my house and how dare you? And the husband needs to know that too. These mama boys and these boy moms, they are really going to destroy relationships. But this goes back to me saying that some of these women didn't have lives outside of being a wife and mother, and it shows up when they start meddling in the lives of their adult children. WV Mom of Two says, did she speak gently to you? How exactly were you supposed to be gentle with everything she was saying to you? Ask your husband how exactly you should have spoken, and then ask him why he isn't holding her to the same standard. He either stands up to defend you or he's on her side. There's no stuck in the middle. Firefly says this, mother-in-law is a grown woman and should act like one if she wants to be treated with respect. Right now, she's acting like a spoiled brat. And then Trish Ann says, your husband is an a-hole who didn't fall far from the tree. Dodge Recharger says, not the a-hole, but your husband needs to grow a spine. His mother is a guest in your home and he should give her some boundaries. No more unannounced visits. And the OP says, that was exactly what I thought. Her dislike for cats should be in her home and not mine. And then this is American says, OP, it's not the cat, it's you. Whatever you do will never please her. Sounds like she doesn't think you are good enough for her boy, or that it shouldn't have been you to end up with him. In my opinion, you should not let her step through that door until she shows you a little respect. Jahar says, your husband is the bigger problem here with his jellyfish spine. Is your cat safe around him? I could not call it our cat anymore. Breezy Wanderer says, hopefully he doesn't get rid of the cat behind her back someday. Football with the Foot says, I'm just wondering why she thinks she has the right to control your home. Waiting for a Recession says, get her a cat-themed card this year. And then finally at the bottom, William says, you are not making her have a cat. This is a her problem. Yeah, her does not have to show up at their door. Her made that decision on her own without consulting them. So this is a her problem. Anyways, y'all, join the conversation. Let me know what you think about all of this. Make sure that you go ahead and follow me over on YouTube. I'm aiming for 100,000 subscribers before the end of the year. Okay, thanks. Bye. I follow this woman, Power Culture Coco. She has a YouTube page, and I'm saying if you're looking for another feminist, another anti-patriarchy woman, she is a good woman to go ahead and follow. So go ahead and give this chick a try. Go ahead and give her a follow and watch a few of her videos. Here's a video she just dropped on TikTok. She drops shorter ones on TikTok, longer ones over on YouTube.
Domination is the opposite of sovereignty. Sovereign individuals lead their own lives through a sense of inner authority. They trust their own critical thinking skills to be able to navigate whatever life throws at them. Dominators do not have any sense of inner authority and cannot lead their own selves forward. They rely on another person performing inferiority, emotional inferiority towards them, for them to feel any sense of power or authority. They do not derive it from within. They must consume it from another. So being a strong man, dominator, demanding submission is just saying, I cannot access any feelings of safety or authority within my own self. And I need you to perform smallness, deference, and inferiority so I can pretend that I am strong. It is weak as hell.
With everything going on, you would think these corporations would be trying to avoid losing so much fucking money. First, it was Target that had to fuck around and find out. Then Disney, ABC. And now Publix, yeah, let me give you the tea. We already know two things about Publix. They're conservative and they back this administration. But there is the Black Book Bash, a literary family reunion happening in Jacksonville, Florida next weekend. And it is basically this large celebration of Black authors across all genres. Now, they are using the largest hotel in Jacksonville to have this event, which tells you how stacked it's going to be. A bunch of Black authors, a bunch of Black book talk influencers, so on and so forth. Now, the Black Book Bash was looking for sponsors because throwing events like this is really expensive. So Publix not only agreed to be a sponsor, they wanted exclusivity. So the Black Book Bash was like, okay, if you want to be the only sponsor, you're going to have to pay that motherfucking money. And Publix was like, bitches, you calling me broke? Run it. Now, the Black Book Bash is again next weekend. Why did Publix send an email on Monday stating due to the volatile climate that we are in, they are rescinding their offer to be a sponsor, and they are rescinding that offer indefinitely after asking for exclusivity? So now the people that are putting on the Black Book Bash have had to take on the fee that Publix did not cover. That don't sound like sabotage. That don't sound like a disruption of events and funds to y'all. We're going to see how this play out for Publix. And I'm thinking based off Target's track record, based off Disney and ABC, and based off the way the people are standing on all 10 toes, it's probably not going to bode well. Y'all know I was deep into the tea investigating. Tell me why the young woman that is putting on this event, Casey, had to use her personal credit cards. Because the Hyatt was like, girl, you've been signing this contract. We can't give you no extension. So she had to come out of her own fucking pocket. So I'm borrowing a concept from my friend Deontay Kyle, the power of $1. I want to see what the power of $1 can do this weekend for Casey. Mind you, I'm going to donate $500. I'm going to try and donate more next week. I just moved, so I ain't really got it like that, but I'm going to donate $500 this week. I want to see what happens when all of us come together. If y'all can, use the link in my link tree. Donate to this event. I wish I knew about it sooner. I would just be there in person. So I'm sorry to Casey, but girl, we're going to do what we can. And Publix, fuck y'all. Big time.